to Car Biz Leaders Live. We're on with Holly Vollant. I'm so excited to be talking to you about her and having her share all of her great success. I think it's going to be amazing. And we will get started. So I'll bring her on right now. And thank you for listening. And it's going to be a great show. She's an amazing lady. Hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Fantastic.
Happy
Friday.
end of the month.
It is. This is a big day for us. Last day of the week, last day of the month. It's Good Friday.
Yeah, well, I'm so grateful that you're taking the time to be on with me today, and I really can't wait to introduce you and what you're doing to our audience. And I know that you've had an incredible year, and things are growing out of control. So tell us a little bit about that and what you do, so everybody can know who you are besides my perspective. And
Sure.
So go ahead.
Sure. So my name's Holly Vollant. I work for Carlots, consignment-based company based out of Richmond, Virginia. But of course, there's lots of us that work remotely, so we're scattered all over the countryside. We have currently 8 stores in 5 states and are rapidly expanding our footprint. So big, exciting year for us. I manage all of our commercial inventory. So I use my background and experience that came out of the wholesale side of the business in the auction side and moved that over. And I'm having a wonderful time at Carlots and building, developing, changing the way we do things, improving our processes so that we're able to help facilitate the move and the sale of more commercial inventory.
Awesome. And now we have a pretty large wholesale audience. What would you say is sort of like the most innovative thing that you guys are doing over at Carlots?
So really our entire concept, we're a consignment-based model. So it's not a run it through a traditional auction lane or sell it on an online platform. I've worked with wholesalers for years, and it's just sell it fast, get your money and get out. Whereas we offer a platform that allows them to take that inventory. So sorry, guys, if they're a happy cat.
Somebody wants to come on the show too.
Yeah, they love my one of the joys of working remotely some days. So, but we give wholesalers the opportunity to take that same inventory and really get retail money out of it. So, we're taking traditional wholesale pieces, doing minimal amount of recon to them to get them ready for a retail lot, selling them for retail money, and then letting them net those proceeds.
What would you say is sort of like the biggest challenge that wholesalers are facing today, and how you are kind of doing that? Because I know what I hear all the time is that everybody's complaining about the fees that they're paying at auctions, and on both sides, the buy side and the sell side, that there's no money left in wholesaling anymore. So how do you kind of combat that?
So I honestly believe the toughest struggle that any of us are facing now is that there's just so many options out there. It's when I started in the business, everything was traditional brick and mortar sales.
Mm-hmm.
You either ran in lane A, B, C, D. Everybody had their spot, and they knew, and that was it. It was pretty straightforward. If you didn't bring them to auction, you were selling them off your back row. You had a wholesaler that came in, once a week, or you were the wholesaler coming in once a week and buying. And that's changed in every aspect of what we do. Bottom line is important to everybody. So they're trying to try out all of these different avenues, whether it's an online platform like ACV or TradeRev or Smart Auction, list them digitally, or they're still trying to put them through the auction lanes, which unfortunately becomes an increasing struggle to get that inventory in, to get a good lane position if you don't have enough volume.
Right.
And the buyer interest at the auctions is diminishing because they have all of these other platforms. They have so many ways that they can buy a car, in this day and age, that it's rapidly changing and people are trying to adapt to it. And it's a struggle because there's a lot of information out there. So they're sampling, different platforms, trying to find what fits best for them. One of the best things I enjoy the most about Carlots is, we pretty much offer the ability to sell your car however you want. And we're going to offer it and get retail money for you. We also offer the ability that, if you get a vehicle to us, we have a lot of wholesalers that work with us. And they would send in 8 cars that they bought at the auction. Maybe 6 or 7 of those really are good retail pieces. Maybe the last one, we find that there's additional damage or something that was missed on the condition report at the auction or when they were buying it. And we're able to offer them alternative channels so that they can wholesale that unit without moving it again, without incurring any additional cost.
Yeah. I think that's so important. I mean, everybody is trying to figure out how they can cut their costs and maximize the profits. It is becoming harder and harder out there to make money as a wholesaler. So I think you offer an excellent opportunity. Let's change up the subject a little bit because, there's not a lot of successful ladies in this business, and the ones that are successful are mega successful. So I wanted to talk about, your transition and how you kind of went from, just tell me a little bit about your kind of career path and what helped you to kind of, decide to be like the kick-ass, take names, badass lady chick out there.
I always preface this question by saying I'm not where I ever thought I would be, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I went to school, I got a business degree, really didn't have a clear path of what I wanted to do or what industry I wanted into. I ended up running a family business or our family business for several years while my kids were young. And then actually took a position and was running a document destruction and record storage company.
Which, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. I couldn't bring myself to love it. It just didn't, it wasn't there. And, and it was a point in my life where I decided, made a conscious decision. I have to find something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, a very dear friend owned a local auto auction. And of course, we chatted. He was just come in, help me out for a couple of months. I'm in a transition, just let me get through the sale and, help me get through this rocky time and, then do whatever you want. And I have trouble saying no. I'm like, yeah, it'd be fun. I'll try it. I'll try anything. And within 2 weeks, I was hooked. And I loved it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And so, what started as a part-time sales position within a couple of months was full-time in dealer sales. I very quickly moved over into fleet and lease and commercial, became our national marketing manager. And, not long after that, a few more transitions and ownership changes, became the assistant GM of this great, independent auto auction, and really found a love for the people, the industry, the dealers walking through the doors every day, made relationships that I'll hold on to for the rest of my life.
I feel the same way about this business. I was just talking to one of my guys today. I'm like, you got to love what you sell, and then you got to also love the people that you sell it to, because they become your friends and your family, and I mean, I just think that is so interesting how this business is sort of like one big, like, dysfunctional family sometimes,
It absolutely is. And that was a tough, probably the toughest decision for me was leaving and taking on this new opportunity. Thankfully, I had a absolutely tremendous female mentor that's been in the industry for 25 years. And she was fantastic to me from the first day I walked up to her. I heard her speak and I just walked up to her. I said, I have to know you. Like, I have to know how you do it, how you stand there, and you have it all together. Like, you've got it all figured out. And in my head at that point, I was determined, but I wasn't sure I would ever get to that point where I found this balance of juggling a career that I loved and was passionate about, balancing kids and a house and all the things that are expected of us when we are and when we're not at work. The expectations don't change for us. So she was amazing, and she was just such an encouragement. She said, like, sometimes you just have to take a chance, and your sense knows if this is the right move. And moved over with them 18 months ago, and it has been the most amazing ride ever. Growing, thriving, conquering new things every day, and enjoying what I'm passionate about.
I love that. So let's talk about a couple things that I'm really interested in learning from you. Sorry, it's partial. It's like when you have like a problem that arises, like what is your sort of process for solving some of these things? Because every day I face problems, and my goal is to sort of think outside of the box and find creative solutions. But like, what is your process for solving problems? Like, how do you go about doing that? I think that's what business is all about, is solving problems, and I kind of want to know how you do it.
Sure. I am slow to react. Same thing I tell myself every day, same thing I tell my 4 teenagers. Take a deep breath, make sure you have all of the information.
Right.
Every time in my life where I've jumped to, a fast reaction, a fast decision, it hasn't necessarily been the best one. So I'm a huge proponent of, getting the whole team together, making sure that we have all of the information, all of the data, all of the facts to the situation, gathering it all, and then really making sure that we're focusing on a collaborative effort to solve that problem, to improve that process. Whatever the hurdle is in front of us, whether it's the size of a hurdle or it looks like the size of a mountain, obviously as we're working together, your valuable team members around you that all bring something to the table.
Yeah.
When we're doing it together, obviously the end product is better. Our customers are happier. Our guests are happier. And we grow as a team. We come out of every bit of adversity as a stronger, better functioning team.
I think that is sort of like so great that you say that, because the biggest thing I got out of that was gathering all of the whole information, right? I think that like, oh, I would have thought of that differently if I would have known this, or why didn't you say that in the first place? And I think that and I'm still not slow to react yet either.
It's a process.
I know I get, I'm like one of those like, nah, but I think that comes with practice. That's not easy for a lot of people, especially in this business where it's high pressure, high stress, and I just kind of envy you for that skill, because I could use it personally.
We all can every day. I have so I'll let you know one of my secrets at my desk. I have a couple of them. But so this little thing has been with me for about 10 years. My kids actually bought it for me. And
I love it.
It's crazy as it's that. And it's just category or,
Scramble. Yeah.
Scramble tiles.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like it's such a crazy thing, but it sits underneath one of my computer monitors. And sometimes we all need reminded of. Sometimes it's the simplest things that, you want a quick fire back on email, you want a quick call. And sometimes you just have to remember that we take a deep breath, and we may love what we do, and it's great that we're passionate about it. At the end of the day, we're moving metal one direction or another. And again, sometimes we just all need that reminder.
Yeah. And, and I think sometimes too that, when you are there's a difference too between like, yes, it's stress. Yes, it's big money. Yes, it's all these things. But at the end of the day, like sometimes like the relationship is like more important than all of that, and I've been very fortunate to have some people, because, nobody's perfect in this business, especially me. But, I think at the end of the day, like I preserve that relationship. And then whatever else happens, it's whatever else happens. You can fix a problem. You can, there's always money to be made. There's always, but the relationship, I feel like, is the most important. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in this business. We all know, the people that it's just like in life. If we're willing to invest time and effort into those relationships, it doesn't matter if it's a customer, it doesn't matter if it's a former, colleague. It's such a small, close-knit industry. Whether you're on the retail side, the wholesale side, or remarketing, it's a close-knit, tied together community, and that's what makes it great. That's one of the things I love the most about it. But it's important to remember that those relationships last.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge proponent, of investing in those relationships and taking the time. People know if you take the time to know them.
Yeah.
Not just what they can do for you or what they can provide or bring to the table, but when you know them, again, it goes back to working as a team. If you know your customers, you all of a sudden they're not just your customers, they're your partners.
Yeah.
a relationship with them, and you're both vested in what you're doing.
Absolutely. And it goes both ways too. What would you, so I want to go back to your mentor. How did you kind of ask her to be your mentor? Because I think some people out there are like, oh my God, what if she says no? Or, oh my God, like, how did you kind of, make that introduction or, put yourself out there? And how did that kind of come to fruition?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of cool experience that I look back at now, I probably look like a loon. But she was speaking at a conference I was attending, and one of my first, and I saw her on stage, and I listened not just to what she was saying, but how she was saying it, the confidence that she had when she was speaking. And she shared a story about, the juggle of being a professional in this industry, being a mom, at the time a single mom, and her story just resonated so much with me, and I was so compelled. Literally, the session ended. She was done talking. She came down off the stage, and I just like burst right up to her. I said, I have to meet you. I said, I was so moved by what you said and how you shared it and how passionate you are about something that I'm becoming passionate about.
Yeah.
And, she instilled some confidence. Like, she was the one that stood there and showed me, I actually can do this. I can juggle. I can have it all. I can have a great career that I love and family and find this work-life balance. And, she was just such an inspiration originally. And we started chatting, and she was incredible that day and handed me her card. And she said, if you ever need anything, just call me. Get in touch. And we didn't, the paths that we were both in at that point, they didn't overlap. There was no conflict or, she knew I wasn't talking to her because, there was the potential for, inventory or for us to work together. I had nothing to gain other than experience and her knowledge.
Yeah.
I just started, shooting an email and picking up the phone, and, she was incredibly, receptive and letting me share, my triumphs, my frustrations. And she became a huge source of encouragement. And, to this day, we keep in very close contact. And I love her story. I love how, it all works out.
I think that's wonderful. What I am interested in is finding out sort of like how, like some of your struggles and like how you overcame, like I think everybody goes through these, like they want to throw in the towel moments, where you just want to give up and the sky is falling. And I kind of wanted to find out, like, what's your motivation to keep going? How did you keep going? How did you overcome that type of stuff?
Sure. And there's been a couple instances. I'll give you one personal, one professional, that both tie into what I do. So I'll just give you the abridged versions. So I was in a position previously, and thought I was on the right track. Was beyond overcommitting, making work absolutely the number one priority, and completely committed. I've got an amazing group of amazing family and teenage kids that been beyond supportive, over the years, and had my sights set on the job that I thought I had to have. And literally, unfortunately, I got to the point that, like, my happiness and my contentment, I had attached to, I'm working towards this goal, have to get this position.
Right.
And, things fell out as they did, and that wasn't the reality. And it was very challenging for myself because I felt like I had failed. I felt like I hadn't reached my goal, and now it seemed unattainable.
Right.
And I remember sitting in the conference room that day and realizing I had to make a decision. I could either walk out of there with my head down and, with all of my employees and all of my staff and my teammates around me, and they could see that defeat, or I had the opportunity to walk out of there with my head up, know that I had accomplished everything that I possibly could, and know that I poured my whole heart into it, and choose to be that example.
Right.
And that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, to walk out of there and still hold on to the confidence that I still had. And trust me, inside I didn't feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
But I told myself that this was part of the process, even though it wasn't part of my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so committed to not letting down the people around me, not going home to my kids, my head down, going, oh, I blew this, and knowing that there was more out there, that there was a better plan and a better purpose. And sure enough, in a few months, that greater thing appeared right in front of me, and it wasn't because I was looking for it. It wasn't. It was because I stayed the course. Even when the course didn't go exactly as I planned it. And I'm a planner. Don't get me wrong. I plan. It's the only way my life works, and sometimes that's the toughest challenge, when we have a plan and sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes, the most valuable thing we can do is take a situation and course correct and then take the next step forward.
Yeah, I can identify with that story so much. I think that happened to me when I was at wholesale. I had this, I love this company that I worked for. I love them. They were the best company I ever worked for. And I gave them everything, like everything and everything. And I couldn't get where I wanted to go with them. And it's like you play the game over and over again until you win, and there was just not a win, and I think I knew that this was my path when I went to see if I could apply to become a certified woman-owned business, and like tears rolled down my eyes because I couldn't there, so I totally feel that story. And I think that is so hard, is that you have this dream, you have this goal, and then it doesn't come true, and how kind of crushing that is. But it's only because you envisioned what it was supposed to look like instead of what it really looks like. This is what I think it should look like instead of what it really is. All right, tell me your personal one.
So the personal one was probably one of the most defining things that my son would kill me if I was telling this story. But it was really more embarrassing to me than it was to him. But it was in this time period where I was so committed and so focused on, thankfully this was a short time frame, but I was so focused and so committed, and I was losing focus with some of the other things in my life. And sometimes we need those defining moments to just shake us. And I remember I was at the auction that day, and the kids and I talk a lot. We had talked that morning. Mom's got some big meetings this afternoon. They knew I was busy, and they were going to come home after school and do their normal routine, and life should be good. I'll come home after work. And I'm through my meetings, I'm getting done, and all of a sudden I got kind of an odd text message and from my husband, and he said, "Did you talk to the kids, right?" And I went, "No, I've been in meetings all afternoon. Nobody called. Like, I have my cell phone on me. They could page me if I was answering my cell. Like, it's not like I was inaccessible." But I was so focused on what I was doing and what I wanted to achieve. And he goes, "Well," I'll just call them. Called my oldest son. He was on his way home from the emergency room. He had cut his hand in the kitchen at the house. A glass jar had broken, not because he was doing anything he shouldn't, but he cut his hand very badly, knew he needed stitches, and didn't want to bother me at work. Didn't call me. Called my mom, who is just down the road and is amazing and perfectly capable. Swooped him up, took him to the emergency room, cleaned up my kitchen, did everything that you ever ask her to do. But the fact that the reality hit me at that moment of, he is so motivated by my goals and my ambition that he didn't pick up the phone and call his mom when I should have been the first phone call.
Right.
And I made the decision that day. I came home and I had a very stern talk with my husband and all 4 kids. I went, "Listen, I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care. I love and I appreciate your support. But you're still the number one priority." And not because I consciously made that decision or that choice, but obviously my actions had made me feel like I was that driven and that focused. And like there has to be a good balance. Or we feel like we fail. I felt like I was super successful at work that day, but I failed as a mom, and it's so much worse.
It's so much worse. It's the worst. because then you can't take that moment back with your family, and so I have I think it's hard sometimes, you have these things, you make these sacrifices, but at the end of the day, like tonight, when we get off the phone in a little bit here, I'm going to go to a sock hop with my son. And listen, I will work. I love working. I love what I do. I'm so passionate about it. I will do this 12 hours a day. But there's times when you're just like, all right, you know what? We're just going to go to the sock hop now, and we're going to make this happen. So let's just, for anybody out there that wants to kind of, be a successful woman in the car business, give us a little bit of advice for them, and then we can kind of wrap up. But I want to hear your best advice for anybody, for the ladies out there that are trying to make it, trying to push through, trying to be successful, trying to be the top dogs. What do you got for them?
So I have a couple bits of advice. Number one, everybody should have a mentor. Everybody. I don't care what level of business you're in. I don't care how long you've been doing it. Everyone deserves a mentor. Everyone deserves that strong woman that's, has a little different experience, that's maybe been doing it longer than you, that maybe you don't need them every day, maybe you don't need them every month, but they're there, and they're a constant that you can rely on. And, it's an amazing industry full of women. I know there's, several organizations that are focused on women in the auto industry, or that, like AFLA within the industry actually has a woman mentorship program. That's awesome. Where they pair up, and you might have, a mentor, you might have 2 or 3 mentees. And, for me, that's the give back. That's the next best step. It's way more rewarding for me to be mentoring someone coming into the industry, than to still have a mentor of my own. I know I need both. I benefit sometimes as much from my mentees as I, they do from me.
Yeah.
Because it's an exchange, and that you have a network there.
Yeah.
Secondly, you have to get involved. And it's really easy, especially for a woman in the industry, to just kind of be brushed to the side, to not be taken seriously, to not have an impact. And I feel like we have an obligation to make an impact. We have an obligation to change the industry, to change the mentality that it's not just the good old boys club.
Yeah.
There's some, incredibly impactful women in the industry, from, the wholesale side, like you're talking about, to retail, to, the factories, and marketing on the auction level.
Yeah.
There's just some awesome women out there. And, they chose to get involved. They get involved in, in organizations, in leadership groups, in regional chapters of NAFA, to, things on a national level, but you have to get involved. And the third and last is, the toughest thing is to find that work-life balance. But, and it's a conscious decision every day. Like my daughter's got a role in Shrek Jr., the musical, this weekend. So I'm going to wrap up this call. I'm going to shut down for a few hours.
I'm going to the sock hop.
You're going to go to sock hop. I'm going to go watch my daughter be one of the 3 pigs in a pretty comical musical. I feel like I already know what happens, but it means the world to her tonight. So, it's definitely a balance. I have an incredible husband, but who also works in the car business, in the industry, on the retail side. And, so it's a daily conversation. Sometimes you just need to check yourself and go, okay, am I making it work this week?
Right.
And sometimes you are. Sometimes it's great to admit that, like, I'm not doing the best job that I can be, but you make a decision to change it, to improve, to do the next day, the next week, the next month better. I had a great time for the first time this year writing my goals for this year. They were exciting for 2020. So, and they're personal and professional. I make sure that one half of them is just, professional goals, and the other half is personal goals. Because unless they both work, you're not going to be on either side of the equation.
I think that's kind of like the best advice that I've heard so far, because honestly, when you have an equality, it just can't be all about business. You have to, develop your own self too. And I think that just translates automatically into business. Listen, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for your time. How do you say your last name? Because I always say Vollant, and maybe that's
Vollant or Vollant. I say Vollant. My husband's got a couple brothers that say Vollant, but we answered anything.
Listen, I'm so grateful. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know it means the world to me, and I look forward to many more. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see your
Have a great weekend.
Appreciate you. Bye-bye. Okay, let's end this thing and then end.